Welcome everyone to the Ladysmith Town Council meeting, Tuesday, April 1st, 25, a regular meeting. The town of Ladysmith acknowledges with gratitude that this meeting takes place on traditional territory of the Stumunis First Nation. Our first item is to approve the agenda. We have an additional item, 10.3, received as a late item for the agenda. Are there any other changes, Ms. Boma?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
A second late agenda item was circulated to correct a typo in the DVP attachment in item 8.2. And both late agenda items have been posted on our website. Hard copies are available at the meeting tonight as well.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the agenda, including the additional items? Seconded. And any discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor? And that's approved. Okay. So, rise and report from closed session we haven't finished with, so we're not going to be moving on that right now.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the minutes again. The minutes of the inaugural meeting of the council held March 18th, 2025. The recommendation is that council approve the minutes of the inaugural council meeting. If there are no errors or omissions, I ask for a motion to adopt the minutes. Motion, seconded. Okay. And discussion? No? All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you. So we have our reports, our agenda preparation, 7.1. The recommendation from staff is that council consider adding a standing update to the weekly internal communications memo provided by staff to council when items are removed, deferred, or amended from a draft council agenda. And we have motion to, yeah, we get anybody to move that? Okay, and second? No one's going to second it? No? Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, second. And discussion? And we have Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I honestly don't see the need for this. I'm not even too sure why it's on the agenda. When I can't even remember when an item that has come up that has been deferred or anything. Staff are very, very good at informing us of what's happened. Our weekly update covers everything that we need to know, and I just don't feel that this work is necessary to burden staff with more, so I won't be voting in favor of it.
Anybody else have? Amanda?
So I will be voting in favor in this. In option 2, I think there's really no harm, no foul in that. Just have staff add a section, and if something's removed, throw it in there, and if it's deferred, throw it in there, and if not, then it's a blank section. I think it's pretty benign.
Any other comments or discussions? Okay. I have, again, because I'm just starting out here, a couple of things that I wanted to clarify. One was that if this was just going to be an additional burden on staff, another line item that they had to deal with every week, in talking to staff, there was the perception that it's a very, very rare occurrence. When it does occur, again, it goes to intent and to trying to understand because there is no, in the community charter, there is no methodology to do anything. If it's strictly for your information, then it's probably not going to do anything because you can't change the information or you can't act on the information in any way. The questions I had was what, has given rise to this, like, even though I'd been informed that it's not really a major issue, it made me wonder is, is there an ongoing issue, or has there been an instance where this has led to, as was mentioned, a loss of focus or items falling off of the table, which were the reasons sort of given at the time to move this forward? And I wondered if it was to address any, specific concerns in that regard, if anybody had anything to speak to on that. So I personally have no problem with it. It's, about transparency, and if we're having a discussion and something is not timely or needs more information or something and it's removed, then providing the information is not an issue. But I would like to understand and balance the need for that against the increased demand on staff time. So I don't know if anybody can speak to that. Okay, well then I'll call the question. L4. Okay, all against? Motion denied. Okay. Moving on to development applications. We have 8.1 development permit at 3060 2425 303 Chemainus Road. The recommendation that council issue development permit 3060 2425 to allow construction of a greenhouse at 303 Chemainus Road, Lot A District, Lot 43, Oyster District, and District Lot 2122, Cowichan District. Plan EPP 127840, PID 032313535. You get moved. Seconded. Discussion. Okay. Everybody. We'll start with Jeff this time.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, just really quickly. I mean, I seconded this. I'm obviously going to support the motion. 60 square meters, man. That's a big greenhouse. But I love it, and I love definitely what's happening down there on the Anderson property. My wife and I have been enjoying watching the developments going on there on Pam's TV shows, and just really appreciate the understated but really awesome exposure she's giving Ladysmith. So bravo, Pam. I think you're doing the town and Arcady Court proud.
Councillor McKay.
Thank you. I support it. I think it's a very, very beautiful building. And I like the idea of it being immediately attached to the gardens. It makes lots of sense. And there's going to be multiple residences on the property as well. So it is being used for more than one residence, which because it's sort of complicated zoning, it's filling some of that. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it'll enhance the space even more, and there for everyone to enjoy.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you. I hope Ms. Anderson heard Councillor Virtanen's remarks, so he does get his autograph from her. The property is partially commercial, but is this for commercial development or is it just strictly for home production?
Through the chair, this would be as a community garden for the multi-unit residentials.
For that, so there would basically not an increase in traffic and parking and stuff?
No, it's specifically for the residents on that property.
I think it's great too. Maybe we'll get 2 autographs.
Okay. Councillor Gurley.
My first impression was, since when do greenhouses need development permits? But then I saw the concept in the photos, and it's quite formidable. And it's beautiful. I'm glad that the Anderson family is able to proceed with that on their property, and I support it.
Okay. Did you have a? No. Okay.
What more could I say?
Okay, there you go. All right. So can we call the question? All four? Motion carried. And then we're on to 8.2, Development Variance Permit 3090-2502 at 130 First Avenue. The recommendation that council issue development variance permit 3090-2502 to vary section 10.4.5B of the Town of Ladysmith zoning bylaw 2014, number 1860, to increase the maximum height of the proposed accessory building from 3.5 meters to 4.1 meters for the construction of a garage at 130 First Ave, Lot 3, Block 24, District Block 56, Oyster District, Plan 703, PID 008549907. Moved. Seconded. Discussion. Duck.
Just a question on page 31 in the table department comments. It says that the building isn't large enough to tie into the storm system. I thought everything had to. Where does the storm water go to staff?
Through the chair, the infrastructure have told the building is very small and it doesn't need to have any kind of storm connection. If they grow big, they would need a connection for that.
Just to follow up, but then wouldn't if we in heavy rains could there not be, or in cold temperature could we not get a nice field or erosion? I just thought it rather strange that we don't require it. So if we don't require it, so just on that, I just hope the gentleman brings his '59 Chevy truck to the car show on August 16th. Thank you.
Okay. Call the question. All four? Or did you have a?
I was just going to add that I noticed that the due diligence has been done to notify properties surrounding, and there was no objection voiced at the time. So it's not outrageously tall. It's quite a low profile ceiling, but the purpose is, it has a purpose. The raised height has a reason. There's a reason for it. It's not aesthetics as much as purpose. So I'm supporting it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All four. Motion carried. Moving on to item 9, bylaws. 9.1, bylaws for introduction. Official Community Plan Bylaw 2022, number 2200, Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2205, Short-Term Rental Regulation. Recommendation that Council, having considered Section 475 of the Local Government Act, and in particular the matters set out in subsections 2A and B, resolve that the Staminis First Nation, Agricultural Land Commission, and School District 68 are the only entities that are appropriate to consult in connection with the Official Community Plan Bylaw 2022, number 2200, Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2205. B, the consultation should be early but need not be ongoing. C, the consultation process described in the staff report to Council dated April 1st, 2025 is sufficient in respect to the proposed official community plan amendment. And D, staff be directed to refer Official Community Plan Bylaw 2022, number 2200, Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2205, to the Staminis First Nation, Agricultural Land Commission, and School District 68, as set out in the April 1st, 2025 staff report to Council. 2, give first and second readings to Official Community Plan Bylaw 2022 and number 2200, Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2205. 3, consider Official Community Plan Bylaw 2022, number 2200, Amendment Bylaw 2025, number 2205, in conjunction with the town's financial plan, the town's liquid waste management plan, and the Cowichan Valley Regional District Solid Waste Management Plan, pursuant to Section 477(3) of the Local Government Act. 4, to consider official community plan bylaw 2022, number 2200, amendment bylaw 2025, number 2205, in conjunction with the town's housing needs report and the housing information on which the report is based, pursuant to section 473 2.1 of the Local Government Act. 5, direct staff to schedule a public hearing and notice of the hearing for official community plan bylaw 2022, number 2200, amendment bylaw 2025 and number 2205, and 6, authorize staff to accept and process temporary use permits for short-term rentals prior to adoption of bylaw 2025. Moved, seconded. Any discussion? Councillor McKay?
Thank you. I feel as though staff have done a really good job of finding a compromise here, and one which is responsive to the changes in terms of population growth. So, if we end up with more than the 3% vacancy, then there lots more permits, temporary use permits, can be issued. It's a situation which is full of all kinds of moving parts and things that we don't know the future and all the rest of it. We do know that provincial government's making requirements for us for short-term rentals. I do believe short-term rentals should have business licenses and be registered. I do believe that short-term rentals should be monitored for safety and be in compliance with building codes. I think that's critical. And as much as that is, it is awkward and it is an inconvenience for some people, and perhaps even changing the way some people can move forward, I think there's reasons for that, and hopefully ways that things can be accommodated. I spent a lot of time reading it. I've read it a few times and followed along as we've been having these discussions. And I think this is a good solid plan for us to at least start with, and we can see what needs to be tweaked as we move forward. So,
Councillor Shirley?
Thank you, Mayor Beeson. In the committee of the whole in which we first discussed this, I did express some concerns about the overall changes to the regulation space for the STRs. And some of my concerns were addressed, but I'm definitely in support of a temporary use program to allow users to get in compliance and to continue operating. And thanks to staff for also expediting this bylaw and offering to process the permits before the bylaw is completely adopted. So hopefully there's people who can pivot and qualify for temporary use and get into place before their platforms require them to close.
Any other discussion? I have one question, and again, this is more directed at staff, and it could be just, again, clarity I'm looking for, and this ties into your comments as well. It's regarding the temporary use permits for short-term rentals. When I was speaking to staff, I had asked about the opportunity for people to get the temporary use permits, and it was indicated to me that they weren't going to be available actually in time for any of these people to actually remain in compliance with the law, because they have to have their provincial license in place by May 1st to be in compliance with the provincial laws and to retain their advertising ability and their ability to take reservations. If it's not in place by June 1st, they are forced to cancel any upcoming reservations that they hold for the upcoming season. The well, because of the timelines here to put this through, it's unlikely, I believe, that the way we have it currently set up, that the temporary use permits would be available to any of these people in time for those things to happen. And like when I read it, I thought, oh great, they can come and get their temporary use permit, be in compliance, and then move forward from this. Their issue currently is that if they can't get their licensing, they have people coming from a long way away, and they have reservations for May and June. And if they're not going to be in compliance, do they go ahead and just cancel all their bookings? So am I correct in my timeline there?
Through the chair, this is an OCP amendment bylaw, which means it can be adopted following the public hearing on April 15th. So theoretically, council could put the bylaw in place by April 15th. And after that date, the town could issue temporary use permits. So theoretically, if people were to apply tomorrow, although it is challenging for staff depending on how many permits we'd have to process, it is theoretically possible to have temporary use permits in place by May 1st. That being said, it isn't necessarily necessary to have a TUP in place by May 1st because bookings are not canceled. So although they would have to remove the stop advertising on the platform as of May 1st, they could still fulfill those bookings for May. And then if they had their temporary use permit and business license in place for June 1st, the ad could be reposted and they could still fulfill all their bookings after June 1st. So it certainly is a tight timeline, which is why staff recommended allowing us to intake TUP applications before the bylaw is actually in place. But we've tried to set it up so it'll mitigate the impact on those that are able to get temporary use permits.
Okay, so there's no way of changing it from the earliest possible. It would be April 15th.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Yeah,
So what
okay.
so assuming I received a temporary use permit tomorrow and it's complete, and theoretically you could bring that temporary use permit on the 15th following the adoption of the bylaw. That's likely not practical, so it would likely have to be the next meeting, which would be the first meeting in May. However, any bookings that temporary use permit had for the month of May would not be canceled. So they could so if a short-term rental today has bookings for May, those bookings can be honored. So they really don't need a temporary use permit until June, although they will lose out on bookings as of May 1st that they may have gotten if they could have stayed advertising.
Well, a further complication is we will grant them the temporary use permit. They can't apply for their provincial license until they're given their temporary use permit and their business license from the town of Ladysmith. And then once they apply for the provincial license, there's no guarantee what the timeline. It's cutting that. It could very well cause them to, if the timeline there jumps in, like if we end up not getting it done until the May 1st meeting or the first meeting in May, and then the time to get their temporary use permit, their business license, get their application into the province. It's just, I think it's playing kind of fast and loose with people's businesses. No, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we'll accept that after in the question period. Thank you. Okay. We'll have to discuss that after. I'm so sorry. Okay, but I will be here after to take that. Sorry.
Through the chair, this is the fastest we can implement a program. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do to hit that May 1st deadline unless there are special council meetings. So theoretically, council could have a special council meeting, assuming we even get temporary use permit applications in time. But as it stands now, staff don't have the ability to accelerate the legislated requirements for the approval of the TUP program. And one other point is that it is not a provincial license, it's a registration process. So they simply have to submit their business license from the town as part of that, provide their information. So the province isn't necessarily granting permission, they're just simply checking for registration. So.
Right. Okay. Okay. Where the heck are we? Okay, so call the question or any other discussion, I guess. Sorry. No? Okay. So all in favor? Carried. Okay, and section 9. Oops, sorry. 9.12. Dog licensing, control, and pound bylaw 1995, number 1155, amendment bylaw 2025, number 2207. Recommendation that council give first, second, and third reading to dog licensing, control, and pound bylaw 1995, number 1155, amendment bylaw 2025, number 2207. Moved, seconded. Discussion? All four? Motion carried. 9.2 bylaw status sheet. Nothing. Yeah, is attached. On to correspondence. 10.1 Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities request for participation in the Local Government Act Reform Survey. Recommendation that council receive the correspondence dated March 20th, 2025 from the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities requesting participation in the Local Government Act Reform Survey. Seconded. Okay. Any discussion? Ray?
What's the intention here? Are we all to take this survey or just have a discussion and then staff fill it out? How is it set up through to staff?
Through the chair, we're just passing on the information. So if you wish to take the survey, you more than can, but you don't have to have a discussion at the table.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. We have 10.2, Take a Hike Foundation Acknowledgement Letter. Recommendation that council receive the March 26, 2025 letter from Take a Hike Foundation thanking them for their support of vulnerable youth through the town's Grant in Aid program. And the letter is attached to our package. Motion? Seconded? Any discussion? Right?
Great letter. I believe the email that this came with also requested some media guidelines for using our branding and whatnot to do a shout out on Facebook or something like that. Anyway.
I referred that to Nicholas.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? All four? Okay. Motion carried. Sorry. Usually people are putting their hands up before I even say it. So, okay. And then we have late agenda item 10.3. Recommendation that council amend the agenda to add the following item received after publication: Cowichan Emergency Preparedness Expo Flyby. The recommendation that council authorize the mayor to send a letter of approval to the Comox 19 Wing Royal Canadian Air Force, the RCAF, for a flyby at the upcoming Emergency Preparedness Expo on Saturday, May 3rd at Transfer Beach. We have a motion, seconded. Any discussion? Councillor Jacobson?
Through to staff, I support this, and I'm going to assume that this organization is going to connect with the local airport to make sure that they're not in anybody's way.
Through the chair, I believe this has happened already in the past as well, so I assume that they've got everything in place. They just need our approval.
Any further discussion? Okay, called question. All for? Motion carried. Council submissions, 11.1 community partners. Councillor Buchanan has requested council discuss the town's relationship with community partners.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm just having a few concerns that there could be a bit of a disconnect between town's leadership and some of our community partners. There's not just one singular issue. There's been a number over the years that I've been kind of just getting concerned. That's bringing me to the line where I'm kind of being a little bit questioning of this. To be clear, I'm not saying my trust in staff has been or leadership has been broken, but I do have some major concerns. So if I'd like to make the following motion: the staff shall consult with the mayor and or council if one of their decisions adversely affects one of our community groups. Thank you.
Councillor Patterson? Okay. Okay.
You said that personally affects? Adversely, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, God, how do you put it? I have been approached by some groups as well due to changes that the town has been made, and I under having a couple of different hats on, I do understand the need for changes. The word liability is the word that we all love, but it really does affect a lot of stuff that we have all taken for granted over the years as far as community events and stuff. And the town is always in a position where they need to look after the interests of the stakeholders, which is the entire community. And at times when legislation is brought down that is moving communities into a direction that they haven't been before, and it affects groups like Festival Lights and Ladysmith Days and Car Show, etc. And we've always been doing this the same way for years, and now we have to change. And the lack of advance notification, and one example, and this actually isn't on town, but a few weeks ago, I was advised of a meeting that was happening in Cowichan in Duncan for community groups because of the new BC government planned events, emergency, yada, 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 binder this big. And they had invited all sorts of groups from the center of the universe, which is Duncan, and there was two groups invited from Ladysmith, and Car Show wasn't one of them, and Ladysmith Days wasn't one of them. Tour to Rock wasn't one of them, and I found out about these, and so the meeting, and I went, and there is going to be quite some changes coming down, and I would like to see where there's more getting community groups involved and giving them more notice and heads up when we change our policy from just having one form to fill out where we've got 2 or 3. I understand the process, but volunteers don't. And it's hard enough nowadays to get volunteers. And if we put more perceived roadblocks in front of them, well, they used it on TV, so I guess I can say pissed off. But we need to try and work with them, and because they're valuable. So my 2 bits worth is that if in any way possible to envelop community groups more, and if there's going to be changes, possibly get them together and say this is what's coming down. It's involves more staff and more staff time and costs, but if we don't cherish our volunteers, we're gonna the potential to lose a lot of good things that we have could be gone. So I understand where Councillor Vertanen is coming, is maybe look at volunteers as another branch of the town's operations. Thank you.
Councillor McKay.
Thank you. And I hear the frustration, and I can sympathize to some degree. I feel as though the whole concept of volunteerism is changing everywhere. It's not changing just in Ladysmith. It's challenged everywhere, and there's lots of reasons for it. Just the change of society is part of it. But yes, there are certainly more regulations and requirements around safety and all kinds of things that go to staff to be communicated to user groups. I just would want to caution us away from taking on operational business. Our work is to communicate and to hear and to bring opinions and to listen and share concerns of the people that we speak with and bring those to the table. I don't know that this motion is going to achieve what is perceived to be the problem here. I think that it is important that we foster our volunteer culture in Ladysmith. It's certainly a huge part of who we are, and absolutely a huge part of what goes on in a year in Ladysmith. I can't remember how we had 18 festivals or something like that last year. Many different things happened. But everything changes as well. So I'm not saying that we can't have different communication. I just want to caution us against interfering with things that are operational that need to happen through staff as opposed to through the governance, because that's our role as governance. So,
Jeff.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I totally hear where Councillor Mackay is coming from. Don't want to delve too deep into the operations. And maybe it is just a perception, but I did feel that in previous, and maybe it was previous term, that didn't get surprised very often by a decision that was made that affected a community group, because usually we had at least talked about it, or we had heard about it, or I don't, maybe that was just the mayor's personality at the time that he would come and talk to us. But wasn't surprised as many times as I get kind of surprised now, where out of the blue resident will say, hey, do you know what's going on? I'm like, no, didn't even hear about it. And as also Councillor Patterson talked about, it's the timing that gets me. I'm not against change. Change happens. I get that. Different levels of government pass stuff down onto us. I get that too. But a lot of time, to have those discussions with the groups and you know, maybe say, hey guys, sorry, one more time, and then that's it because this is it. No, you can't do that every time. Every situation will be unique, but it feels like we're kind of missing that step. And like I said, I'm just concerned that I see this disconnect starting to happen, and I don't think it's frayed. I don't think it's broken. I think we can close that disconnect, and that's why I brought it forward now. So I'm just thanks for the discussion.
Any other? Okay. I would like to add that I have a very large respect for our community volunteers. We had 18 festivals, not one of which would occur without our organizations and volunteers. And if there are any out there that are feeling unheard and disrespected, then that's a culture that has to change. I know that quite often it's perception and that you can't, there are limitations to what can be done, but communication and collaboration go a long way. As I said, I'll always listen, and I'll always let you ask. Sometimes the answer is no. And, even when things are changing, as long as you are able to communicate that there's a clear reason why the change is happening. It's not just arbitrary decisions. It's quite often things outside of the control of the staff or of the council due to changes in provincial laws or federal laws or just differences in things that are going on socially. But communicating that to these groups is probably a really good first step, and making sure that they feel included and that they feel heard. So I'll leave it at that. So, yep. Sorry, motion's made. Okay. And seconded by Duck. Okay. All in favor? Oh, all opposed. Sorry. And motion carried. New business, Cowichan Emergency Management Local Authority Agreement. Recommendation that Council approve the 2025 Cowichan Emergency Management Local Authority Agreement between the Cowichan Valley Regional District, CVRD, Corporation of the District of North Cowichan, City of Duncan, Town of Ladysmith, and Town of Lake Cowichan, and authorize the Mayor and Corporate Officer to sign the 2025 Cowichan Emergency Management Local Authority Agreement. Motion, Jeff. Seconded, Tricia. And discussion? Nobody? Okay. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Emergency and Disaster Management Act, the EDMA Implementation Indigenous Engagement Funding Program Modification Agreement 2. In February 2025, Council authorized staff to indicate the town's intent as part of the Cowichan Regional Emergency Management Program to secure EDMA Indigenous Engagement Year 2 funding by signing Modification Agreement Number 1. Since then, a second modification agreement has been issued that provides a specific timeline for receiving Year 2 funding and the possibility for an extension of the termination date. The recommendation that Council authorize staff to sign Modification Agreement Number 2 of the Emergency and Disaster Management Act, EDMA, Year 2 Indigenous Engagement Funding. Motion? Seconded? Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Motion carried. On to the 12-3 16th Annual Chamber of Commerce Charity Golf Tournament. The recommendation that Council allocate $250 to sponsor a hole at the 16th Annual Chamber of Commerce Charity Golf Tournament on June 13th, 2025, as requested in the correspondence received March 13th, 2025. Seconded. Tricia, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, motion carried. Okay, that takes us on to question period. We allocate a maximum of 15 minutes for questions. Persons wishing to address council during question period must be town of Ladysmith residents, non-resident property owners, or operators of a business. Please state their name and address for identification purposes. Questions must be related to items on the agenda. Please be brief and to the point. Questions shall be addressed through the chair and answers given likewise. Debates with or by individual council members or staff is not allowed, and no commitments shall be made by the chair in replying to a question. Matters which may require action of council shall be referred to a future meeting of council.
Thank you. My name is Steve Jansen. I live on 337 Cheminas Road, and it's regarding short-term accommodations. Apologies for interrupting the process during the time, and I know it was wrong, but I have a letter. I have applied for Airbnb, and I have a letter from the inspector saying I need a temporary building permit before I even apply for the temporary permit for an short-term thing. To get that done, I need to get tradesmen with red tickets to come in and say what is negligent or needs updating in my suite, be it fire alarms, fire doors, whatever. We can't get that done in the time frames you have. So my question is, do you have a plan for people who are honestly doing the best they can to meet your safety demands to get an extension for them, because they're not going to get it done by June? I can't.
Well, as you heard earlier, the timeline is pretty set. The best that we can do is to try and work with the planning department and see what we can do to expedite your building permit and see what we can do to try and keep you in business or get you back in business. And I would be very happy to have you communicate with me and see if I can help in any way to do
But
that.
then we will lose we're supposed to be cut off on June, and we lose our people. So
And
that's all
you
I'm
know,
saying.
we'll do the best that we can. I can't make any promises.
Respect that, Mayor.
But and I haven't looked into it myself. I've had it. I don't want to use the word insinuated, but there, you know, hopefully that there will be options that if you can show that you're in the process, that there may be an ability to continue on while you're working towards things. That's the best we can try.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Council.
But if you want to send me an email, I would appreciate that. If you can send me a copy of your letter, we'll see what we can do. Okay.
Robert Johnson, 526 First Avenue. I have two questions. One is very simple. I did not catch the motion for 1.1. What was the motion?
1.1?
1.1 was community partners. You made a motion and seconded and passed.
Okay.
I didn't hear the motion. And as far as I was concerned, it was just a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the motion of record?
That council directs staff to consult with council if one of their decisions adversely affects a community partner. Oh, okay.
So it's just clarification. It's going to affect a community partner, but we don't know who community partners are. And the mayor and council be informed. Which community
Yeah.
partners? What's a
Okay, yeah.
community
Um,
partner?
just the mayor or council be informed, and that would give us the opportunity to have the discussion as to whether we want to, at that point in time, intercede in any way.
Okay. The second question is, I better back up first. There appears to be a lot of concern and questioning of council in regards to its relationship with volunteer groups within the town. Has the town considered doing a survey of the community partners organizations that put on these things to determine where things can be improved? Can the town help in regards to such things as media, uh, public relations, repairs to equipment, help with financial applications? So have you considered doing a survey asking these questions of groups like the uh, Late Days, Historical Society, even the Kinsmen, or what? How can we develop a better relationship with you? So I hope you would consider that. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestion. Anything else? No? Okay. Then move to adjournment. Oh, sorry. Sue?
Um,
Oh, yeah.
To the chair, it would be to recess because.
Oh, okay.
we'll adjourn.
Sorry, I thought we had to adjourn this meeting and then go
Yeah,
back into that one.
not this time.
Okay, so we'll go into recess now and move back into the closed meeting. Motion? Seconded. All in favor? Okay. Carried.